Good evening. I'm Deb Willis. I am a professor of photography and imaging at New York University, and I welcome all of you. An exciting evening. It's an exciting evening also for other reasons. So we're going to start with an introduction to this wonderful film. And so first of all, I'd like to thank the hosts, the Schomburg Center. And I'm delighted to be back virtually because I used to work here at the Schomburg with Ellis Haizlip in the late 80s and as a photo curator. For those of you who've just streamed the film, thanks for watching. If you'd like, you can put your questions in the chat and we'll try to get a few of the questions in before the end. Tonight, we're here to celebrate the women of soul. And to consider that, I would like to invite Melissa Haizlip, the producer, director, and writer of the film. Just to start off tonight, Melissa Haizlip, would you like to talk about Ellis and the film and Schomburg in the late 80s?
Yes. Hi, everybody. So glad you could be here tonight. This is so exciting. And thank you, Deb, and thank you to our hosts at the Schomburg. I actually worked with Deb at the Schomburg and with Ellis Haizlip in the 80s, and it was a very exciting time. Ellis Haizlip was very determined to turn the Schomburg, which at the time was really just felt like a library, but to make it into a big cultural mecca. Because, and I know, Deb, you'll remember this, when we were working at the Schomburg, if we wanted to have a special event, anything that needed a stage or an audience or backstage, we had to go up to even further up to City University, to Aaron Davis Hall.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so Ellis kept saying, there has to be a way to make this possible right here at the Schomburg. And he was really a part of that and instrumental in changing the footprint of the Schomburg and expanding it. So I'm sure you remember that too.
I do. We used to go often, and it was really important. The way that I'd like to just also acknowledge that Nikki Giovanni says that no one strutted like Ellis Haizlip. We on the radical side of civil rights needed someone to listen. Those on the more traditional side needed a platform from which to explain their views. Soul brought it all together. And that's what happened at Schomburg and at Aaron Davis Hall. So that's really an important moment that you've just described.
And I remember it so well because Ellis was working with Howard Dodson and trying to bring the energy of soul from downtown to uptown, to bring the same artists that appeared on Soul to the Schomburg. And he brought people like Octavia Butler and Mr. Delaney, all different kinds of people to the Schomburg to have these. Yes.
Phyllis Hyman,
Exactly. And the idea was to make a cultural mecca for us, to create a landing space. So that's why we're so excited to partner with the Schomburg tonight and to stream the film and have this wonderful conversation. I was just in the chat and the chat was lit, y'all. Thank you so much. We will archive that for sure. It's just really nice to, especially now when we're not together, to be able to have an experience like this, together but apart, but together, and together we will keep it together. That's what I always say.
And how do you feel about this experience on bringing it back?
I think it's the perfect timing. I think that right now, especially as we are on the eve of a racial reckoning, we are all apart, the pandemic, the administration, voting, there's so many things that are pulling us apart. And Ellis was all about unifying people and reminding them of their greatness. I think he did that 50 years ago with Soul. And we tried to invest in the film and imbue that sense of greatness, that there was Black excellence now, there will be Black excellence in the future, and there always was Black excellence. And I think Ellis knew that.
That's true. He knew this in terms of the Black future was always present. So that's really important. Thank you. I'd like to bring Nona Hendryx to the mic and to the camera. If we can open. Nona?
Well, is Nona there? If she's not, send her a message in the chat and then she can join us.
Okay.
So
So,
excited to have these extraordinary women here. Amazing night.
yes. Hi, it's Deb, and
Hello.
good to see you, Nona. Really
Hello.
appreciate this experience.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me, Nona?
Yes, I can.
Great, great. So I'm really happy to be here with you. I just have a
I
few questions. You performed with
sure.
Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells on the very first episode of Soul, September 12th, 1968. Could you tell us a little bit about the first program, and you sang Over the Rainbow?
Oh, oh, it's a while ago. So, um, but Ellis was so welcoming and supportive, and the fact that there was an audience that was, I'd say 95, 98% Black, and that it was an audience that we knew. A lot of the people who were in the audience were people who had gone to the Apollo Theater, just some of the other places that we played as the Bluebells, or Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. And there they were again, supporting us as we were making this transition to Labelle. And, to be that, in that space, in so close to the audience. I mean, they were just like right there, like at your feet. And to have the band, to have it live, because a lot of the shows were not live. You were lip syncing, or you were performing to a backing track. And this was really live, and this was the energy in the room was, the energy that you have when a church is full and everybody is responding or singing, or the spirit is happening, and that's what it was like. I can't remember who else was on that show with us, but the people that we met and had known actually for some time, it was just really amazing to be there. I mean, we were treated there like we weren't treated anywhere else.
That's really amazing. You wrote on Instagram that Ellis was a friend and an artistic mentor and a guide who's sorely missed in this world. But you just mentioned the.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
You mentioned the aspect of the spirit, and I was curious, why is it important for you to tackle social issues, love, and politics in your music in the spirit of Nina Simone as well?
Well, I think from watching Soul, wanting to go beyond, even when we weren't on, I wanted to go to Soul, to be there, to be a part of the energy, and living in New York and having access to a place that was constantly filled with, and bringing to and exposing us to these people who were so important in the culture of Black lives in America. Was just really amazing to be able to hear people speak. Nikki Giovanni, her poetry, the voices of these Harlem singers, the Verda May, the writers, all of these people who were just so important and were involved in the social fabric of not only New York and Harlem and Brooklyn and Queens, but other Black communities across America. That they would, Soul was the place where they came and were invited to share their knowledge, share their political ideas and ideology, their social interactions, what was going on in other places. It just was, it was like the kitchen table of the Black community.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you.
Love that. The kitchen
I'd like
table.
to invite Sarah Dash and to the mic just to ask a few questions. That one, how did we all believe that Ellis was ahead of his time? Sarah, if you could turn your mic.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. Hi. Hi,
Hi.
Nona.
Hi.
We all
Hi.
believe that Ellis was ahead of his time and Labelle was way ahead of its time. And how did Ellis encourage your futuristic style?
Well, Ellis, indeed, he was ahead of his time. Ellis was a Black producer on the educational network doing a show called Soul. Now, just picture us coming out of the civil rights movement and having this wonderful man who migrated from Paris, so he told us. Um, and he actually influenced me in a way during that time to have our music come from the Apollo to a television setting. We were Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells at the brink of making a change into this futuristic group that we had no idea where it was going to land. And the importance that he brought to the table, as Nona was saying, there was a sort of like a collage of different creative energy all there, everyone at the start of something new. Nikki was doing the album, as we called it then, with the gospel choir, and we happened to be at Avery Fisher Hall, and we were on Peace Be Still. I mean, all of that happened because of Ellis.
Yeah.
Then Ellis was bringing talent that oftentimes weren't welcome on other television shows. Black artists had an opportunity to be on a television stage before the cameras and having an opportunity to express their work and to show their talent. He brought DJs from R&B radio station like Jerry Bledsoe, who was the host. That was an unusual move for Ellis. He was just, I would call it a renaissance, a Black renaissance at that time, an R&B renaissance, where all of us came together in our own melting pot. And we would look up at times and they would be at our shows. Ellis would be sitting there with us at their shows. He brought us all together.
Thinking about reuniting and together, on Instagram, Patti LaBelle left you a birthday message saying that all three of you are reunited to do a record. Is that true?
Nona? Oh no, I'm just flaking out. I did speak to Pat. She's gone. I did speak with Patty afterwards, and I said, "Well, when is this going to happen?" My nickname for Nona and Patty is Inch. So she says, "Oh, Inch, we have to do this. This is going to happen, Inch." So, but I never say never.
That's exciting.
Because I believe in the Most High Spirit,
Yeah.
and however we're led by that Holy Spirit leading us to whatever place we're going to go. Thank God we are still friends and we can still chat about these things and sometimes laugh at what we think could happen, But it would be wonderful. I mean, these are the only dolls in my life that I never have to think about what I am going to say.
Can you hear me?
And they're there. I mean, we would be on stage and all of a sudden we would rehearse 2 weeks for a song. And then something would happen on that stage and we would just move together musically. It was so spiritual,
Beautiful.
And I'm so thankful that we had that experience, that I've had that experience. And the other thing about Ellis too, he produced a television series called Watch Your Mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Ellis got me to write the theme song and sing it, and also gave me a role, my very first role, with Joe Morton.
Yes.
Yes, and so Ellis has been very important in my life.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Meshell, um, could you turn on your camera? Just in terms of the moments we'd like to share with you in terms of you are the legacy of soul as a Black
Wow.
artist. What does soul mean to you, and what does it mean to you now in terms of the work that you're doing?
Oh
And
my God. Up mighty people. We are mighty people. I feel energized by watching that documentary. And for the whole last week, I've been watching episodes of it. And I am just humbled and mystified and so eternally grateful that that man just, wow. I mean, to see the footage of Earth, Wind and Fire and Stevie Wonder, and the one I've been watching over and over again is the Max Roach with the choir. I just, it's just, it makes me not want to watch TV. It makes me really see that your mind is a garden and you should be very careful what you plant in it. And just immense gratitude to Mr. Hayslip. It's just a life-changing program for me.
yes, one of the questions that we see that Ellis created a space for all artists. And can you speak to how Ellis, as a queer Black man, created a platform and gave unprecedented support for visibility to queer artists of color, even before Stonewall?
Because I believe Mr. Hayslip transcends that, even that language. He had an extreme vision and aesthetic. And I think he was just, for the lack of the words, definitely ahead of his time. And I think what it means is quality. I do think it's just one of there's a line in there that I had to write down. It's the show highlights all facets of Blackness. You know, even though we are burdened, we transcend all that. And that the connective tissue of it is how creativity has allowed us not to despair. And so that's what he's done for me as a person who lives in an alternative lifestyle, so to speak. It's not to despair and to continue to be noble. I like that part, that he was noble. And I just immense gratitude. Immense gratitude.
Are you, what are you doing now in terms of any work that's related, I know we're here in this COVID situation, we can't travel, but in terms of the music that you're creating now, enhancing, are you thinking about that aspect of that?
Well, also the Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin conversation is something I'm very connected with. Director Charlotte Braithwaite and I have imagined a piece that's based on The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, and we use the church as the trope, what carries us through. It's like Mr. Hayslip said, it's the music is the gospel, not the gospel. And so since COVID time, we've been unable to get together, but I think people still need that connection that comes through song and communion and fellowship with one another. So Charlotte suggested we make a hotline. So there's a hotline that you can get connected to if you go to thegospelofjamesbaldwin.com. And it just gives you 7 minutes of a sort of a sonic meditation to aid us. Because what I also learned from watching this documentary this time is that there are people in the tribe that have different positions. And I too am not very political. I think I'm trying to address people's emotion and state of being, and also to inform them in a way that they may not be accustomed to. And so this is what the piece in this form does. It just allows you to engage with it with your ears and your eyes, but in a different way. I'm trying to carry on new narratives, trying to create new narratives and new visual stimulation, because that's the other thing I realized in the documentary. he creates a nourishing environment. The show was so visually compelling, you know, and exciting to watch, especially the dance pieces, just amazing.
I love how you reading and still reading from it and embracing it. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me here. Thank you.
I want to bring Leslie to the camera, to the mic. And I have a question for Leslie as behind the scenes person. Hi, Leslie. So you worked as the production secretary on the Soul Show. Tell us what it was like behind the scenes, working with a predominantly Black crew and also with Black women who were incredible artists.
Right. Well, as you pointed out, I was on the admin side of things, so I don't sing, dance, act, play an instrument, do any of those wonderful creative things. So I was in the office during the week, and I was in the studio on the weekends when we actually taped the shows. And so my perspective on all of that wonderful creative energy that was just flowing through the office and through everything that we did is as very much as a, you know, as a spectator. But Ellis was so important to me and continues to be important because he lived Black is beautiful in all of its facets. So the creative talent that flowed in and out came from every part of the creative universe. It could be classical, jazz, you know, whatever, the pop culture, whatever was happening in the moment. It could be literature. It could be so many different things, because anything that we as Black people could create had value and it was important. And Ellis was committed to making sure that the presentation of Black artists was always professional and always respectful. The show was not thrown together. That there was the stylists, the sets, costuming. There was great care taken to make sure that we were presented at our very best, because he respected the artist and he respected the audience. And for me, that experience, lived experience for me day to day, to see how someone was true, lived their authenticity, how that manifested itself with how they treated other people and how they dealt with the outside world. So when, you know, he knew the box he was in. He was dependent upon funding. He understood that it was going to be a Black show in this big PBS network, yada, yada, yada. But he was going to do it right. He was going to do it his way. He wasn't going to apologize. He was going to have on who he wanted to have on, and they were going to speak their truth, their authenticity, their Blackness. You know, for me, you know, I had never had that experience before. And I'm so fortunate that I'd had that experience at that point in my life. And so I carry a little bit of Ellis with me because I appreciate exactly what he did, who he was. And, you know, Black is beautiful is something, again, that can encompass anything and everything that we are and that we do. And, you know, for my children, I tell them that when they say, oh, well, that's not Black. I said, if Black people do it, it's Black. The question is it excellent? You know, that's what you do, is excellent, not as, you know, oh, we don't do that. I said, no. If we did it, then that's Black stuff. That's Black people stuff, music, so whatever. The question is it excellent? And you have an obligation to be the best, to be excellent. So.
Thank you, Leslie. So we're going to bring Dr. Long, Loretta Long. Thank you, Dr. Loretta Long. You were there from the very beginning as the first co-host of Soul. Love seeing you
Yes,
in the film.
yes,
How
yes.
did it feel to be a part of a Black woman-led crew holding that space?
Well, to be part of a Black woman-led crew, I wasn't even that sophisticated to be aware of that. What I was aware of is that I was a substitute teacher in the Bronx Monday through Friday, Saturday, getting myself together to tape on Sunday. So I was so new to television. Thank God Ellis gave me an opportunity, and it was live. When the camera came on, all I was supposed to say is, "Hi, I'm Loretta Long. Stay tuned for Soul." The red light came on that camera, and it was like it sucked my brain right out. And I sat there and I looked, and Ivan Curry said, "Do you need a cue card for your name?" I said, "No." So I took a breath. "Hi, I'm Loretta Long. Stay tuned for Soul." Well, that was the main thing. And then I went back to my school on Monday, and there was always a little boy with about 6 other children waiting for me. And he said to me, "You be the one that play in that movie, Soul?" Well, I teach English, so I started correcting his grammar. It's not "do you be the one," it's "are you the one?" And little Black children think everything's a movie, and it's not a movie, it's television. He said, yeah, but you be the one, right?" And I said, "Yes." And then he turned to the 6 children and said, "Okay, give me your money." I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I bet them." And they never could conceive that somebody on television would be in their school in the office that Monday.
Oh.
So we had a big impact that we didn't even really know about. And then the set designer, Charlie Rosen, was the one that sent me to the audition for Sesame Street. So I have a career because of Ellis. So I be the one to play in that movie, you know, and was happy to do it. And when Chuck Rosen said, "Now you're going to, you're a teacher, right?" And okay, I'm such a method actor. "No, I'm an actress who happens to be a teacher." He said, no, right in through here. "You're a teacher who happens to be able to sing." So you be the one, okay? But my life would be so different had I not been able to be part of that women-driven crew. I didn't even really know it. I was just trying to be the one.
How did Ellis feel about you taking on the role of Susan at Sesame Street? What did he say about that?
He was so proud. He said that he was so glad that he had made an opportunity for me. I was not dancing or singing on the show, but he made an opportunity for me to audition for Sesame Street. And I was hired for 1 week. Nobody really knows that. So my advice to everyone is just keep saying yes and taking that next step. Like Sarah said, if the opportunity shows up, just say yes and take the step. When people say to me, "Well, did you know that Sesame Street was gonna be such a big hit and be on 50 years from now?" 50 years from now, I didn't know I was gonna be around.
Tell the truth, Loretta.
You say yes,
I tell you.
and you
Yes.
take that step. That's all. Praise the
Yes.
Lord for Ellis.
Yes.
Hallelujah. I be the one that
Yeah.
played the movie. Yep.
I have one question though.
Yeah.
If you were hosting the show and you were starring,
Ellis was he.
oh, just one question. If you were on the show and you were, why did Ellis encourage you to go for another audition? Was he thinking that there was something better for you? I mean, isn't that unusual that he would do that? Or
Well, he would never stop anybody from going to whatever is their next destiny. And you know, I think Ellis liked being the host, so he didn't mind me getting up out that chair. You know.
And Loretta, may I interject here? It was the way he crossed his legs and sat in that producer director's chair that you knew, and he would always have these unique shoes on. Alice, where'd you get these shoes? Parents, darling. You know, I loved him so, you know.
Yeah.
He wasn't he stylish, Loretta? He was
Well,
just
Sarah Dash, you did that to me. I saw you with some boots on over at Ola Tunji's house, and I said, "Where'd you get them boots?" And you said, "Paris, darling."
yeah. Ellis was quite a person. He had that unique uh, part of him that he actually groomed us,
Yes.
really, for television. I mean, he prepared the way for Patti LaBelle morphing into LaBelle. We were on that show so many times. They were like, "Okay, Ellis," but he really did. He prepared us for it.
And Loretta Long morphing into Susan of Sesame Street.
Yes,
opening
yes.
That door and saying, "Welcome to Sesame Street." At least when the red light went on, I knew how to talk.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Just to think about how he encouraged women throughout my lifetime. I'm still quoting Ellis as a supporter, and I was really happy to be working at the Smithsonian and to be able to acquire his collection when his sister called, so that we could preserve the tapes and the letters and the books and all of that. So it's really because I met Ellis when I moved to New York in 1969 on the steps of the Met, and that transformed my life. So I'm just really thrilled that we had this opportunity with Melissa to look at the archives, to bring all of the women together that Ellis encouraged and
Yes.
and really was a support for our voices. So we have about 3 minutes left. If anyone would like to add any last points.
Or any questions, maybe any in the chat.
Oh,
I'd like to say thank you, Melissa, for
Yeah.
including both Nona and myself in
Yes.
this wonderful documentary of your uncle. It was just so wonderful to look back and see how he improved upon my life and Nona and Patty's, having us sing, you know, the Nina Simone songs when, you know, he was just a phenomenal producer and foresight. He had foresight.
yes.
Definitely had foresight. Yes.
I agree, Sarah. You know, soul was iconic, and it is iconic as a, you know, when it happened, how it happened, who brought it forth to make it happen.
Yes.
Unique, totally unique, and way before its time, and just introduced so many people to the rest of America.
Yes.
And the fact that it was live with that live audience.
Oh yeah.
Was
Yes.
really such a big part of
Yes.
the show. Because
Yes. They had their tambourines, whatever they could bring, the decorates, you know, you could be yourself at that soul show.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you would feel that vibe in the studio.
The energy, yes.
Also in the dressing rooms where we spent the dressing room where we had the other conversations.
Who designed your dresses and your outfits in terms of that?
I think on the first show, the outfit that I'm wearing, I made myself.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, what I made Sarah's, but the pants and jacket I'm wearing, I made myself. So this is way back in the day.
Yes. Yeah, we were sort of off the rack girls, but individually dressed. Until our very first show though, Nona, we had all the red gowns on we were wearing braids. We didn't know they were going to be hip later, but the red gowns with the bell sleeves, you know, when I look back at that, I'm on the floor, you know, it's like.
That must be, okay.
Well, thank you all for this encouraging evening, and I'm sure that everyone will stay tuned with the live streaming of Soul and Mr. Soul. And thank you, Melissa and all.
Yes.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
all
you.
for coming.
Thank you,
Melissa.
Melissa.
Thank you.
Here, everybody.
Oh,
Bye. Good night. See you, Loretta.
Yeah, Loretta.
Take care, cuz.
Yes.
Okay, cuz.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Ellis.
Thank you. beautiful.
Fantastic,
Thank you.
Melissa.
And yes, Alice, thank you.
Yes, Ellis.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye, Loretta.
Yeah, bye, Melissa. Bye, Dad. They still have